of it all, untouchable, a new animal. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another week of LSH Live. I am, of course, Jeremy LaRose. This is LSH Live, where we help you guys become better riders and work with your horses better every single week. So you're in luck, because I found the footage of this horse's first ride. So we had covered this before, we kind of skipped that part. I found it back on my phone. Really happy to have found this for you guys. So you can take a look here. We'll show you guys how this first ride went, what it looked like, things to watch for. So that way you guys can kind of keep this whole continuous deal going where you saw this horse go from start to finish the whole way through. So I'm going to skip this lunging part. You guys know what this is about. We've got the strap on him. We've got the tires on him. So you've seen this before. You know how this deal works. We're worried about our transitions. This is every single ride, every single time we get him out of the stall. We're going to lunge him first, then ride him. So always checking my transitions. You see I still get a little bit of head fling here in my transitions when I go to lope, when I go to do things. I'm still bumping his horse's face. You see me banging that line, asking him to give. I like how my drowning transitions are coming. He's really getting sharp to him. So we'll ride this horse and we'll see what that looked like. So this is after a probably 15-minute lunge, maybe 10-minute lunge, something like that. We're in a smooth snaffle here today. I don't have a rubber snaffle on a bridle, or I would normally start all of my horses in a rubber snaffle. I don't want to have a lot of chin control when I start these horses. So starting them in a smooth snaffle versus a rubber snaffle, I like a rubber snaffle because they're going to pull on my hands a little bit, and I'm definitely going to have a hold of their mouth. There's zero chance they're going to hide from me. So that's probably one of the bigger things about working with your horse in the beginning is you don't want them to hide from your hands. That actually makes your job a lot harder. So we need a horse that will kind of sit in our hands, sit out there, and let us kind of take a hold of him and do things with him. So as always, you're going to start off here. We move this horse off, just real calm. This is one of the reasons why I'm so big on making sure your horse just walks off calmly. I don't want him to take off into a trot. You see how Macy can bend down here, grab the whip. This horse doesn't react to it. Very, very important. If that horse reacts to you grabbing the whip, you're going to be in trouble the first time you go to ride because he's going to overreact. He might take up a trot before you're ready, and that's not a good place to be. So we're just going to ride along here. Nice, easy, simple walk. Going to pet him a lot, reach around, pet his neck, pet his butt. Lots and lots of petting, lots of reassuring him that he's a good boy. I think your hand and the actual phrase, good boy, are really important in this horse's training. I want him to know that that means he's doing it correctly. It's a big deal to me. So we moved him up into a trot there. I got a little bit bigger response than I wanted. The big thing for me is I just want to pick my hands up. I want to have his head up. That'll keep me safe in the long run. I'm not going to pull back on the reins, but I am going to make sure he keeps his nose kind of elevated. I don't want him to get his nose low, get his neck low, and then he can wind up a bunch of power for a buck, right? So I like having their head up in my hands. I don't worry about the head and neck set or anything like that until much later in the process. So we just trot a lap or two, reach down, pet him, tell him good boy. Looking for him to lick and chew here. Looking for him to take a big puff and relax. That's kind of our goal. So I'm always paying attention to how he feels in my hand. If his neck feels super tight, if he feels like he's jumpy, I'm going to just keep petting him. We're going to walk. I let him kind of decide how fast we're going to move up and down here. So that trot off transition was much better. I like that. Again, you see me not kicking at all. Right? Macy doesn't go to the whip unless she has to. All I'm doing here is making sure his neck stays up, making sure he stays on the circle and doesn't pull on Macy too hard. I'm just kind of taking my feet and closing them and releasing him so he gets used to the pressure on his sides. I want to be able to hold on with my lower leg when I go to lope. So I don't want him to be spooky or jumpy about the feeling of pressure around his body with my heels. The cool part about that, if you've used the training wheels or if you've used something like that, he's not going to be scared about your legs flopping around on his sides. So that helps a ton. Like I was saying, my job here is try to be really quiet on this horse's back, not scare him at all, not give him a lot to worry about, just lots of up and down transitions, lots of rewarding. I want him to enjoy this part of the whole process. So the more I can make him enjoy this part, the more I can make him relax here, the safer I'm going to be, the more fun this is going to be for both of us. So when we go to move up into a lope, whenever I start the first transition on any horse, I'm going to make sure I have my hand on top of the saddle horn. I want to make sure that I pick the reins up and I have his head in my hands so he's nice and relaxed. So right there, I feel him kind of pull down into my hands. He kind of twists away from me. So you see me pick his head up and try to get him up off my inside rein. So if he's pulling down into me, I'm getting a lot more head twist than I want, which is a lot of the issue that we talked about with the other horse too, right? Like if he turns his head too far to the inside, then I can't get in control off my outside rein. So I'm trying to get his head picked up so I can get that outside rein contact on his neck. That is going to cause a lot of issues down the road when we get off the lunge line. So I want to make sure that I have a horse that kind of honors my outside a little bit. He kind of always keeps his head hooked over to the inside when I'm lunging here. And that's just a lot of being lunged before in the past and having a lot of experience on the lunge line. Typically, your 2-year-olds will not do this, but this is a 3-year-old. He's been lunged before, so he's had a lot of experience on the lunge line and kind of figured out if I turn my head towards the person lunging, I can kind of drop my shoulder and don't have to worry about too many things. It's going to be a big problem when I go to steer because just like the other horse, I've got to have control of my outside shoulder when I pick my hand up. Any down transition is caused by taking his head slightly to the offside. So I'll take it a little bit to the inside, a little bit to the outside, just twist his neck a little bit so I take some of the power away from him. I don't ever want to pull straight back on these horses because that's going to just be an arm wrestling match between him and I'm going to lose that every time. If I can offset my hands and twist his head a little bit, I have a lot better chance of getting a down transition that's going to be where I want it to be. I don't want to pull back for down transitions ever throughout the whole training process because that's not how down transitions work. If you've been following along with all the videos we've done in the past, down transitions are going from more collected to less collected. So I want to release this horse with my feet and my seat to drop down into a less collected gear. So we're always pushing up here, pushing him up into a trot, pushing him up into a lope, and then I should be able to drop him down into a trot, down into a walk. So you see that hand on top of the saddle horn, push myself away. I'm not going to kick here. I might scoot my seat a little bit, but I'm not going to kick him. It doesn't do me any good, and it just causes problems. So if anything, I'll bounce my seat on his back. In this horse in particular, I use a lot of sliding my thighs forward in the saddle, and I can kind of smack the inside of my thighs or the front part of my thighs against the saddle and make it uncomfortable for him. That is much less comfortable for him than simply sitting there, and it's also less likely to get a fight than if I'm kicking him. So anytime you kick their belly, they're likely to kick, they're likely to scoot, they're likely to buck. I want to avoid that whole process. So you see that first lope off, not much to it, not much loping, not very long. I don't want to press this horse. I don't want to push him too hard. So that's just a quick lunge, just a quick lope. Say, hey, let's try this, and then let's just relax, right? So that way he doesn't get worked up. I'm not going to break down, miss my transition, have to push him back up. Macy's got to whip him, and it's just an ugly mess. So that's our first ride. That's our first lope circle. And we've tried to just make it really easy, really simple for this horse. So I've got my horse now. We're going to go back up in the gears. We've done a little walking, a little relaxing. We're going to go back up in the gears a little bit quicker. I want to address this lope again. So I want to see if I can get that transition without having to hold on to the horn. So I'll keep his head up, make sure he's soft in my hands, so that when I do pick my hands up, he follows me, right? So anytime I pick my hands up and he pulls down, you see him fold under a couple times right there. I'll take my hands, I'll bump left, right, and I'll pick his head up and get him up above that bit in my hands so that I have a hold of his shoulders with my hands. I don't want his shoulders to drop off of my reins. So move back up into this lope. See me pick that head back up. It's a little bit better transition other than the falling down. We'll just ask him to lope back up again. So once we get loping, reward him, relax my hands. I don't want to pull on his head at all here. I want to have him just kind of going around. If he's messing around with his face, I'll just give him a sharp, like, wrap him with the reins and get him to stand up and pick his head up. So same deal back here to the right. Gonna make sure this horse just moves up and down the gears easily. Now we've loped off once to the left. The scary part's out of the way. There's a left and right side to every single horse, so you sometimes get a little bit different animal to the right than you do to the left. but a lot of what you do to the left will transfer over. So he already understands kiss means lope, so this transition should be a little bit smoother, and we'll just kind of feel this horse out for this direction. So just trotting along, relaxed, nice and soft, hands come forward, slide up. There we go, get a good lope off. So again, making sure that head stays up for my lope off. So I don't mind making problems that I can fix down the road. And picking that head up is one problem that I can fix down the road. Having his shoulders fall down, though, that causes a lot of issues later. So at this stage of the game, all I want is his shoulders to roll up to me. I want him to stand up in his shoulders so I have control of them, so that I have steering, I have brakes, and I have all those things that I need. So this is an easy first ride, very simple. You saw this horse go from start to finish now. Very, very easy, very, very relaxed, very calm. And this is about what you could expect out of every first ride, every colt ride that you put on a horse. So you see me get off the other side, I get on and off both sides. You don't ever know who's going to have this horse afterwards, so you want to make sure they're quiet both ways. So one thing to really pay attention to here, now that I'm done riding this horse, see how this head is low, his eyes relaxed. You see him, when I walk up to him, he just drops his neck down, puts his ears forward, looks at me. I love the softness in this horse's eye, the softness after he's done working. That's how every single ride from here through your training process should go. Very important to me that this is how he finishes up. If he's worked up, if he's dancing everywhere, I'm not ready to be done. I missed a hole somewhere. So if you guys want to know how you get your horse to where it's quiet like that when you're done working with it, that's a big deal to me. I really watch that horse, really pay attention to him, and it matters to me how he finishes up the ride. I don't ever want him to be worked up or nervous when I'm done. So that's it for this week's video, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, being a part of this deal. If you like what you saw, spread the word, share this deal. We love making these videos for you guys, and we're so honored that the feedback has been incredible and you guys have been by us through every step of the way. So thank you so much. We'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great week. Keep grinding. If you have any problems, don't be afraid to reach out to us on Patreon or Facebook. We're always here to answer questions for you. Always here to help you guys work through problems. Anyway, hope this helps, guys. See you in the next video.
This is how legends are made. I'm cranking up on the throttle. Victory is mine.